A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. My respected brothers and sisters, thank you so much. And we are so excited to have you for another session of Zoom into your Deen, right? Just looking back, we've had the blessings to have a number of profound speakers, right? Respected speakers, experienced speakers, coming from different professions, different backgrounds, different areas, so on and so forth. And that's truly a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we recognize that, which is why we always ask you guys to ask dua for them as well, right? Now, today we've got another special speaker, someone who's been there before, of course, but all these speakers have so much of value to give us, so much to share with us. I don't think bringing them once is sufficient, okay? So because of that, you see similar faces coming up again. I mean, not my face because I'm there, every week, but other than me, the other speakers, right? So now, before I introduce our special speaker here today, we have our journaling to look into, right? And I'm so happy because I actually saw you guys sharing information today, which shows us that y'all are not just hiding behind the camera, right? Y'all are actually doing these things. You're actually journaling about these things. You're actually making these changes. You're actually helping people, right? You're actually making progress, guys. Y'all are growing. Y'all are getting better. And all of this will, inshallah, take you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that is the happiness that, any of us could get out of this, okay? And we learn so much from you as well. And that's why we're so thankful to you guys. You guys teach us so much. You do. And just today, what y'all shared in the chat box, those serve as reminders for us as well. Those serve as reminders for us as well, because the next time we see something small that we can help in, we're not going to think, that's a small thing, no point, I'm not going to get much. We're not going to think that. Because on Saturday, on Zoom into Deen, a brother, a sister reminded me that even those little things are important, and even those little things we will be rewarded for, right? So I'm really happy, alhamdulillah, that you guys are doing this journaling continuously. Now, today's topic, remember as always, guys, we follow our usual formats, but today's topic, I want to ask both brothers as well as the sisters, when you're journaling, to think about a lady, right? A lady who has inspired you the most. Now, I know for a lot of you, you're going to say that it was your mom or your mama, right? And obviously, right? That's a given, right? All of us are very inspired by how our moms somehow, only Allah knows, Allah gives them the strength, the guidance, the blessings, does everything they do, right? Be it a mom who stays at home, be it a mom who goes to work or whatever, right? So I know that you guys will want to write about your mom, right? That's obvious. That's one of the ladies that you know the most, right? If not the most. And that's okay, right? But you guys journal on a couple of days, right? You don't journal just one day of the week, no. So if you're journaling 2-3 days of the week, what I would encourage you, I won't restrict you. I'm not restricting. I'm not saying you have to do this, but what I would encourage you is, if possible, try to make it about 1 or 2 ladies, right? I don't know, maybe your grandmother, it could be your aunt, could be your teacher, someone that you look up to, right? So the topic is, you have to journal about a lady who inspires you or inspired you, right? Inspires you or inspired you. Now, I also want to let you know that it doesn't have to be about somebody that you associate. We know that there have been great women in Islam, right? Great women in Islam who stood by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of the other prophets, who stood by the Sahabas, who stood in the name of Islam, who protected Islam, right? And taken Islam forward, right? And they have served the world as a result of what they've done. They've shown independence, they've shown strength, they've shown kindness, compassion, great values, and they've set an amazing example, alhamdulillah, for the rest of humanity, both men and women to follow, right? So it doesn't have to be somebody who's around you, who you're with. It could be about someone you studied, right? A lady you studied about, right? About what she did for Islam, what she's done for the Muslims, for the community, for Allah's creation, the example that they've set. And that could be inspiring, right? So what I want you all to do is write about, I'll just give you an example. So for example, let's say you're writing about your mom. So it could be, my mom really inspires me. But, we don't always stop there. We have to go into the why. Why does your mom inspire you? So that's up to you. It's personal to you. So I'll give you an example for me. So the reason so my mom works and she's also, a mom. Both I would say full time. And at the same time, she takes care of her mother. She takes care of all of us. She takes care of, my dad, all of that, right? The whole family, everything. And she's always the one who has everybody's concerns on her mind. Like, she's worried about what my dad ate. She's worried with the I ate. She's worried with my brother, my sister ate. Right? She's even worried if my wife is okay, if she's been eating, to that extent. For some reason, mothers have this really large radar, right, of being concerned for people, right? And I guess that's how Allah has created them, and that's why there's such a strength to us, and we can trust them. We know they're there for us, right? So that's just an example, but you need to write why. Like for example, I am inspired by my mom because she always, 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 with of course the will and blessings of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, finds a way to make sure that all of us are okay and that all the necessary tasks, be it at office, be it at home, from the house being cleaned to the clothes being washed and dried and put away to the food being ready to making sure that her boss's accounts are done and that every other thing is done to taking care of her own mother, that's my grandmother, right? Whatever her medical needs, taking her to the doctors, whatever, all of that. And I just can't imagine how one human being can do so much. And that's so inspiring to me. Okay. Now, the catch with this week is you need to journal about that. The lady who inspires you, or ladies, right? When you write on multiple occasions, why they inspire you. Okay. The lady who inspires you, why they inspire you. The last one, right? We know in this forum, we're not only about thinking and talking, we're about doing action, right? We need to take action. Third thing, what will you do, right? What will you do to honor her? Okay, so what does that mean? I'll give you an example. Now, I said that my mother is capable of looking into everybody's needs, understanding what they're going through, trying to be there for them emotionally. So how I can honor that? So let's call it. Let's say my mom is very loving and caring for my family. How I can honor that is this week I'm going to really dial in and focus on being loving and caring to my family, right? For example, I go to the kitchen and I'm about to wash my plate, and my mom's going to wash her plate too. And I said, no, no, mama, today you leave the plate. I will wash both plates for you. Right? It can be that simple. It can be that simple, or it could be as big as when your mom is about to start cleaning the house. No, no, mama, I'll clean the whole house for you. Okay, it can be that big too. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So even if you are writing about, say, an honorable lady in Islam, or respected lady in Islam that you studied about. So she could have been somebody who always uplifted the name of Islam. Okay, so then this week I'm going to dial in and really focus on what can I do to uplift the image of Islam, right? How I behave, how I carry myself in front of other people, family, friends, everybody. That's a way that you can honor them. Yes, at the end of the day, we're doing all of this to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That's a given, right? But I want you all to recognize the ladies amongst us. I want you all to recognize the women around us who have been immense, right? They've been an integral part in strengthening Islam, the community, all of it, right? So they deserve that recognition. And I want all of us this week to focus on that, to focus on why we admire them, why we are inspired by them, okay? And I want us to write and do something to honor them, something to honor them. It can be your mom, it can be your teacher, whatever it is, right? And it can come in the form of you asking dua for them. It can come in the form of you helping them. It can also come in the form of you implementing what they taught you, like actually doing what they taught you. Like my mom said, that it's important to be clean because cleanliness is half of our faith. So because of that, I'm going to clear up my room, wash my clothes, dry everything, and put it away. Right? It's a very basic example. There's no need for rocket science. You don't have to be a superhero, nothing. Right? That's simple. Okay. So that's your journaling topic. That's what we want you guys to focus on. That's what we want you guys to do. Now, I'm going to introduce our very special speaker. Okay. Now, like I said, not somebody that you guys have not seen before, right? Somebody that you know. And he is somebody who is at the Colombo Institute of Theologians. and he's also a family counselor at Careline Counseling Services. I see them a lot on Instagram, and they do a really it's a much needed service on Instagram. So you guys should go follow them as well. And he also conducts Jummah sermons. So there's a high chance that you guys have, been able to see him up front, not just on Zoom. But nevertheless, you guys have seen him before. I'm referring to none other than Sheikh Ruzaik Ismath. And today we are so honored and we are blessed and we are humbled and we're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have him here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Sheikh. I think I need to hold on once again. Let me make you a co-host and give you access to the platform, inshallah. Done.
Jazakumullah khairan.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh.
How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah, Sheikh. I should be asking you how you are.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Guys, for those of you who don't know, Sheikh is actually not too well today. But I don't know, he somehow found the strength to do the session today. And may Allah reward you, Sheikh, and may Allah bless you.
Ameen.
We know
Ameen.
that this is none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And brothers and sisters, I know you'll anyway do it, but please make dua that Sheikh gets better soon.
Yes. Okay. Right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم وبعد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. As brother mentioned that I'm not feeling that well today. Inshallah ta'ala, I'm trying to cover up complete this session within half an hour's time, and then give you all the if you have any questions to ask pertaining to the subject, you are allowed to do so. So 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes for questioning, and then the balance will be for my talk. Mainly when I do the programs for youth, I want them to ask questions from me, so that so generally when I do programs for anyone, I prefer questions to come from the participants, because that helps us to get the message across. At the same time, participants to benefit a lot through the program. The topic for today, which I think all of you know about it, that is with regard to verses of the Quran. So before we go into the details or the detailed explanation on this, I would like to ask you all to mention a few virtues of the Quran which you know. Right, let's get started. And you can type it in the chat box, inshallah. What are the virtues of the Quran? Whatever you know from the young age you learn, you would have been to different yes. What are the merits? Light upon light, okay. It's very rewarding. Sabit Azmi says, it calms you, okay, good. What are the virtues? For example, if somebody asks you to, okay, let's say you want to buy an ice cream, you know the merit of buying it. You know what is the reward you're going to get by buying it. The reward is you're going to enjoy a delicious ice cream. That is the merit for buying it. So what is the reward you're going to get for reciting the Quran? Sister Munira says 10 rewards for every letter. MashaAllah. It's a reminder to all of us. It intercedes on behalf of us on the day of Qiyamah. Very good. Very good. So we have the two which are mentioned here are directly from the hadith, even though you have not mentioned the narrator or the source, but both of you have mentioned are from the hadith clearly. Right. Sometimes when I teach my students at the institute, I tell them there are certain types of knowledge, you don't know that you know. You don't know that you know. That means it is somewhere in your memory, but you don't know how to dig it and take it out. So the moment somebody mentions it, then you remember, oh, there is something like this, right? So that is the case of the case with most of us. But it's all right. We as human beings forget. Somebody needs to come and remind. Sister Saliha says, elevates our place in Jannah, which is also mentioned in the Hadith. So Jazakumullah khairan to all of you who have mentioned a few virtues related to the Quran. Firstly, when it comes to the Quran, it is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Comparing, now all of us have studied about the different miracles which was performed by different prophets. Then we have Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. He was sick. He was sick for many years. Allah sends comes of water, and he's asked to stamp his feet on the ground. The water comes out, and he takes a wash, and he becomes clean. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he wants to slaughter his son. It was a command of Allah to test Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He tries, he attempts, but fails. The son doesn't get slaughtered. It's a mu'jiza. It is not happening. So the definition of mu'jiza is, in English, we can call it miracle. So all the prophets whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, all of them had mu'jiza in them, a miracle in them.
Sheikh, I'm really sorry to interrupt, Sheikh. The voice is breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if it is the connection of the headset or anything like that.
I have removed my headset and the connection here shows it's fine.
Okay.
Is it still breaking?
It's a little better now. You can continue, Sheikh.
Okay, right. I'm sorry about it. Okay, so with regard to the miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was also sent with a lot of miracles. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given many miracles. If somebody can quickly mention one or two miracles given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet, one or two miracles given to our Prophet apart from the Quran. Other than the Quran, do you know any other miracle given to our Prophet? Can you all hear me better?
It's
Splitting
very clear
of the
now,
moon.
Sheikh. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, right. Jazakallah khair. Okay, splitting of the moon is a miracle. Very good. Any other miracle you all have read about related to our Prophet in Sirah? The Mi'raj. Very good, mashallah. Right, and there are books written only on the miracles related to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which I would recommend you all to read. But anyways, the spider's web, protecting Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the time of Hijrah. Okay, right. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all. Now, when it comes to the Quran, it is a miracle which is going to be there forever. For example, when sallallahu alaihi wasallam split the moon in Makkah, it was for that time. It was related to that time, and it was over, and none of us witnessed it. It was the people who were around him saw it, and now we cannot see it, right? We were not live there. Similarly, if you take the miracle of the Mi'raj, sallallahu alaihi wasallam ascends to the 7 heavens, meets Allah, brings down prayer. He does all these things within a night. And we didn't see it. We were not there during that time to see the Prophet do it. So it's a miracle. Quran is a miracle which is going to be there on the face of this earth till Qiyamah. Till Qiyamah. And how do we know it's a miracle? There are certain signs to signify that. Now I'm talking to the audience. I need to come down to your level to simplify this to you. If you look at the words of the Quran, you will not come across any book in the world which has been memorized the way the Quran has been memorized, right? So the Quran has 600 plus pages, and it is the only book which is memorized by millions around the world. You might come across best-selling books. There are books where they would have received rewards, best authors, and so many different things for books. But you will not come across a fiction or a non-fiction. Let's say a non-fiction, nobody will be interested to memorize it. But let's say a book which is a fiction. People like to read fictions a lot, but you won't come across a person who has memorized an entire series or even one book, because it is very extremely difficult to memorize any book apart from the Quran. So number one, to understand that it is a miracle is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made memorizing the Quran an easy task to all of us. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. So it is a miracle. We have made it easy for you all to remember the Quran. In other words, to memorize it and retain it in your memory. Number two, another miracle is, when it comes to the recitation of the Quran, let's compare it with a nasheed, for example, right? Most of us have we listen to nasheed, which is allowed in Islam, and within the framework of Sharia, whatever nasheed or qasida, you are allowed to listen. But one thing to notice, let's say you enjoy a particular nasheed, which talks about Allah, which can talk about Rasul, the Qudrat of Allah, and all these things. But if you try to sing the same nasheed in your own tone, it's not going to sound nice. It's not going to sound nice. It's not going to be appealing to the listener. No matter what melodious voice you might have, but if the tone doesn't match with the original version, it is not interesting to listen to, right? But when you look at the Quran, you would see the shortest surah in the Quran is Suratul Kawthar, which has only 3 ayat. But if you have to go online and search, you will come across hundreds of recitations on Suratul Kawthar alone. And all these recitations are unique. All these recitations are such that they are different from each other, but yet you still can listen to it. So when you listen to it recited by anyone, it is still appealing to listen. It calms the soul, it calms our mind, it brings tranquility in us, and that is a sign that it is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think these two would be enough, keeping the time factor into consideration. So number one, can somebody quickly mention what is the first point I mentioned with regard to the Quran being a miracle? Yes? If somebody can mention the 2 points I mentioned. For us to simply understand that Quran is a miracle, I mentioned 2 simple, factors. What are the 2? Easy to memorize. Very good, Bilal. The second reason, the second point is it is unique. When it comes to its words, it is unique. And when you listen to it from different people, the same surah from different people, you get a different feeling. All right. So these are the 2. Moving on, there are certain facts about the Quran which we might have forgotten. All right. Then I would go back to what I said in the beginning. We need frequent reminders. I will highlight 1 or 2 of this. Forgotten facts about the Quran. Sometimes we don't know that it is a fact. Okay. The first thing is, all of us agree to the fact that Quran is a book of guidance. Quran is a book of guidance. All of us agree on that. But the best part of this is, it guides those who anticipate to understand it. So let's say if somebody wants to, find guidance, whether he's a Muslim or not, no matter whoever it is, any human being, male or female, grave sinner, a good person, innocent man, living in the jungle, no matter whoever it is, if a person wants, sincerely, he wants guidance. If he opens the pages of the Quran, and with that intention, he opens the Quran, Allah will make sure that the Quran will show him guidance. Similarly, if a person opens the Quran to find fault in it, or to find, he wants to, point out mistakes in it, and he wants to misguide people with it, Allah will make sure that the Quran does that to that individual. Both ways. It works both ways. This is a fact about the Quran. So one side, if a person really wants to guide himself, he opens the Quran, no matter what religion, where he belongs to, no matter whatever it is. He opens the Quran sincerely, his heart is yearning for guidance. The Quran will surely guide him. Likewise, if a person opens the Quran to cause corruption on earth, he wants to misguide people, and we have seen that in our lives as well. Some people who have extremist ideologies, they quote the verses of the Quran, right? Those people will misguide them, will be misled by the Quran. At the same time, they can cause harm to the society. This is one fact about the Quran. So whenever we open the translation, right, to understand the Quran, if you open the tafsir of the Quran to understand it, make sure you have the correct intention at that time. Let's say, for example, a person is having a busy day, he's stressed, he's tired, he's having difficulties in life, and now he opens the Quran, and before he opens the Quran, he tells Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from deep down his heart, Ya Allah, just give me a solution for whatever I am facing. I'm having a troubled day today, my heart is troubled, I'm stressed out, please guide me, right? So when you open the Quran, when you turn certain pages, most of the time, I think if you're the more sincere you are, sometimes the moment you turn the Quran, and the first ayah where your eyes fall to will be an ayah which will console you. It will be an ayah which will console you. Many people who have reverted to Islam have mentioned about this point, that when they wanted to seek guidance, they prayed to Allah, and they prayed to God, telling him, God, guide me, and they open the Quran, and their eyes fall into a particular verse, and that guides them, right? So even Muslims, there was a brother who came for counseling once, and he was having a lot of trouble. He was stressed, and he was disturbed, right? So he didn't know, he didn't have anybody to console him, and he had spoken to his friends, but that wasn't enough. So he had come to our center. And finally, I told him, brother, I leave you with the Quran. I leave you with one verse of the Quran, just one verse. He said, what is it? Because that brother was he was connected to the Quran. That's what he told me in the beginning of the session. So I thought, okay, let's remind him about a verse which he can take away after the session, than my advice. He said, what is that verse? I told him, Inna ma'al usri yusra. Inna ma'al usri yusra. That's it. Indeed, the translation of that verse is, Inna ma'al usri yusra. Indeed, with the difficulty comes ease. Indeed, with the difficulty comes ease. And I gave him an explanation of this verse, how it is applicable to his life. And you won't believe, I have been talking to him almost 45 minutes time. He said, this one verse has consoled him, and he feels better than the words I spoke to him. Just one verse. So the moment he asked me, what is that verse? He was sincere from his heart. He wanted to know. And he has memorized this verse as well. That is the best part. He knew that there is a verse, Inna ma'al usri yusra, but he didn't know the meaning of it. The moment he got to know the meaning, he got attached to the Quran, and at the same time, he found a solution to his problems in life. Then I told him, whenever you come across difficulties in life, just remind yourself about this verse, insha'Allah ta'ala, you'll be able to overcome what you're having and your mind will be relaxed, inshallah. So, brothers and sisters, that is one point with regard to certain forgotten facts about the Quran. The second point is, Quran is like a user manual. Like, you know, all of us, whenever we buy something, a device, let's say you bought a phone, you bought an iPhone or whatever, the laptop or a washing machine or a microwave, you name it, all these appliances, these gadgets and devices have uh, a, an instructor's manual, right? So user's guide. So who wrote it? The one whom the manufacturer had written this guide for all of us. So how are you going to use this device? So they have the directions given. Similarly, Quran is the word of Allah, which all of us believe. We have no doubt about it, and it is a guide to all of us. It is a guide to all of us. So Quran, sometimes we think Quran only discusses about acts of worship like Salah, Hajj, Siyam, and Zikr and Quran Tilawa. But when you go into the Quran, you would see that there are so many lessons for our lives which we need to bring in and inculcate and preach so that our lives become better and even other people become better. So remember, it is a guidance which is applicable for all times. Right? Sometimes people might come and say, you know, the teachings of the Quran are no longer applicable. Maybe that is because that is the way a person feels. Just because the majority of the world might say that the teachings of the Quran are not applicable, that doesn't mean it is not applicable. Because teachings of the Quran are placed, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rulings mentioned in the Quran are legislated, keeping the betterment of the entire society, not an individual. This is another important point we need to remember. Let's say a particular penalty is mentioned in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told his prophet to tell this to the mankind, and that mankind practice this. So if there is a particular ruling mentioned about something in the Quran, that is mentioned keeping the welfare of the entire universe and not a particular society. And that if the world starts to practice it, that is going to be good for them. And if they don't, they will fall into trouble. All right? Let me give a simple example. Quran says to lower the gaze. Quran says for men and women to lower their gaze. Wherever Sharia has permitted, a person can look at the opposite gender, but looking at somebody with lust and desire is not allowed. Quran says don't do it. The reason is it is a general order, but when you look at the wisdom behind this ruling, looking, seeing, gazing with evil thoughts, that is the root cause for so many evils in this world. I'm talking about just one crime, you know. So that leads to meeting, and meeting leads to talking, and it leads to meeting. And then finally, there are so many other complications which happen. So Quran addresses the root cause of things, and it doesn't want people to fall into that trouble. Similarly, Quran talks about the root for good, and when people do it, and there's a lot of goodness in it. Just as Quran addresses evil, it addresses the good as well. And what we need to understand is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is best for us. So you buy a device, you have the manual with you, and you say, I don't want to listen to what the manufacturer has told. Your device will not be there for long, so you're going to lose it. Similarly, Allah created us, and He has given us certain guidelines in the Quran. If somebody says, I don't want to listen to that, I have my way, I know how to do it, that person will be able to do it for some time, but that's not going to be successful forever. So this is the second point with regard to certain facts related to the Quran. So number one is, if you open the book anticipating guidance, the Quran will surely guide you. Number two is, it is a book, it is the user's guide given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we are to follow it in our lives, we'll find that true peace in our lives. At the same time, the world will become a peaceful place to live. Okay. Finally, before we conclude with, I asked you all about the merits and virtues regarding the Quran. Okay, this is a quick question to the audience, like all of you listeners who are here. When you during Ramadan, can somebody share with us in this class what's the maximum number of Qurans you have finished? Like how many Qurans did you finish during the last Ramadan? Yusuf Shuaib says he has finished one Quran. MashaAllah, may Allah accept it. Sister Saliha, she has finished one Quran during the last Ramadan. Very good. Even if it is few juzu, it's all right. MashaAllah. Sister Fawaza, Ashfaq Azmi, they have finished one Quran each. Very good. Anyone with 2, 3, 4, 5? Luqman Handala. He has finished more than one Quran. He has finished more than 2 Quran. He has messaged it privately. He doesn't want to, I think he doesn't want others to know about exactly how much he has recited. But for your information, he has recited more than 2 Qurans. The sister who has finished 1.5 Qurans, very good, mashallah. Right. Now when we look at our timings today, after Ramadan, no, during Ramadan and post Ramadan, during lockdown and after lockdown. Now when we look at our situation after Ramadan, it becomes a very challenging task to finish a juzu every day, right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you and accept all the recitations we have made. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to recite more in the coming months, inshallah ta'ala. Right. Now, when it comes to reciting the Quran, there are some, we have to, when we compare the generations, the seniors, the old, the elders of our community, and the youngsters of our community. When we look at the two, we see that the elders, the connection they have with the Quran is different compared to the youngsters. Some of them recite, they have the habit of reciting selected surahs every day, right? So maybe they recite Yasin every morning, Surah Yasin every morning. Some of them recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night, Surah Al-Kahf in the evening. And when it comes to the younger generation, we too recite Quran. But the difference is, one plus point about the youngsters is, we see a lot of youngsters are enthusiastic, or they are willing to understand the message of Allah, which was not there some time back. I'm not saying the old elders are not doing it, but the elders are doing it. But the youngsters today are very much into understanding the Quran. But what I would like to tell for both parties, for both these age groups is, don't ever think that understanding the Quran should stop me from reciting it, and reciting the Quran should not stop me from understanding it. So we have to draw a fine line in between, because sometimes there are brothers who say, I'm reading a translation, so I don't find the time to read the Arabic version of the Quran, which is not, in the long run, it is not healthy. So balance in between, understand the message of the Quran, at the same time excessively recite Quran. Okay, so when it comes to reciting, sometimes we need the push from our parents to recite, right? At some houses, I think they might have the rule that you have to recite Quran after Maghrib till Isha, which is a good thing. But youngsters who are here, the participants in this class, I make a request to you, please come up with a timing where you are able to recite a fixed portion of the Quran every day. Like brother Shoaib Jabbar mentioned about maintaining a journal, I would also like to tell you that keep your personal Quran with you, and make sure you keep reciting in that Quran, right? So by that, what happens over time is, you get connected to that particular copy of the Quran. You get connected to the copy of the Quran, and that becomes your Quran. And so far, I have come across two elders who had the habit of writing the date they started the Quran and the day they ended it. And they have pasted a blank sheet at the back of the Quran, so they maintain a record. So recently, I met a Hafiz of the Quran, and he was telling me about a Sikh uncle of his, and that uncle used to have the habit of reciting almost 10 juzu every day. I'm not talking about Ramadan, during other times. So he has recited. Now, my friend told me that if you look at his Quran, he has written so many dates, and it is going beyond 100 Qurans in his lifetime. So what we need to know is this is how our elders are, and even we too can reach that. It's not we can't, but let us reach slowly. If you all are not fluent with the Quran, the flow of the words in the Quran, at least finish, like take 15 minutes a day for the recitation. Don't worry about how many pages you cover. See how long are you reciting the Quran. There are some individuals who will have a target, okay, I need to finish 10 pages a day, which is good. But there are some individuals, I would recommend them, you make it a point to spend 15 minutes a day with the Quran. It's all right whether you recited 1 page or half a page, but the time you invested for that Quran is 15 minutes. You can look at it that way. Those who are fluent with the Quran can go with the page number, half a juzu, and all these things, right? See, Ashfaq Azmi mentions that his grandmother has the habit of reciting 3 juzu a day, right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her goodness and recover her from the sicknesses she has, and may Allah reward her abundantly for the Quran she has recited. So, brothers and sisters, from today onwards, let us get connected to the Quran in a different way compared to the other days. The purpose of the talk is that let us get connected. By getting connected to the Quran, what happens is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises your status in this world and in the hereafter. That is number one. The status, your status will be raised in this world and in the hereafter. Number two, as I think one of our, I think a sister or a brother mentioned before, the Quran will intercede on behalf of you on the day of Qiyamah because you were connected to it closely. You're closely connected to the Quran. So the Quran comes on the day of Qiyamah and intercedes on behalf of you. Right? So raises your status, it intercedes on behalf of you. Remember, on the day of Qiyamah, your parents are not going to come and talk to you talk on behalf of you. Right? Your teacher, no. Nobody is going to come on behalf of you, but your Quran is going to come on behalf of you. Then remember that a heart where even a small portion of the Quran is non-existing, that heart is similar to a ruined house, according to the hadith of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, whosoever does not know anything from the Quran, he is like a ruined house. It's like a ruined house where you will find animals, you will find reptiles, you will find insects, you will find trees, all these things inside that house if it was not habited. So if there was nobody living in a house, that is how it will be. Similarly, if there is no portion of the Quran inside our hearts, Allah forbid, that heart will not have peace, tranquility, calmness, nothing of that sort. Allah should protect our hearts from being in that situation. Okay, to wrap up with, I will give you small doses which you will be practicing once in a while. We will, the agreement we have is, you're coming up with a firm, you're firmly determined that you're going to spend some time with the Quran, either number of pages or you fix a time. 15 minutes, half an hour, it's up to you. But spend time with the Quran every day. Now what I'm going to tell you is, apart from that, small investments where you can reap massive rewards. Massive rewards. Number one is, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, If you recite Suratul Ikhlas, that is Qul Huwallahu Ahad, 10 times, if you recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad 10 times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build a house for you in Jannah. A palace for you in Jannah. Sorry, not a house, a palace. When Umar radiallahu anhu heard this, he said, Ya Rasulullah, then I will recite it excessively. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, you recite excessively, no problem at all. Allah is not stingy to give you that reward. So let's say somebody recites Qul Huwallahu Ahad 100 times, Allah would give him 10 palaces. You can invest in these ventures, in these opportunities, when you're traveling sometimes. Long journey, 5 hours, 6 hours, you're in the flight, you're traveling to New Delhi, you're going on a trip, everybody are asleep, all the fun is over, you're just relaxing, nothing to do. You don't have your mobile, data is over, battery is dead. It's a very nice time to recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad 10 times. You do it, you're getting a palace in Jannah, inshallah ta'ala. That is one. Another quick investment you can do is, brothers and sisters, you're facing a sickness, you're having a headache, you're feeling feverish, no matter whatever it is, you recite Suratul Fatiha and you blow it on yourself. It is mentioned in a hadith where a companion of the Prophet recited Suratul Fatiha on a sick person, and that sick person recovered from the sickness. So before you take a Panadol, before you go for, towards the creation, go towards the words of the Creator. So you recite Suratul Fatiha, you blow on yourself, and now you can go and take whatever medicine or whatever, the asbab, the means. So there are the Suratul Ikhlas with regard to Qul Huwallahu Ahad, only this one, and then I'll open it for the question and answers. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Suratul Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad surah is equivalent to 1/3 of the Quran. It's equivalent to 1/3 of the Quran. So if you recite it thrice, it's as if you have recited the entire Quran. So you get the reward of reciting one Quran. Now you might have a question, then I need not recite the Quran entirely page by page. Can't I do this? Yes, you can do it. No problem at all. But the difference is the quality you get through reciting the entire Quran, the calmness your mind reaches, the tranquility you find, the blessings you receive, the angels being with you, the nur coming into your heart. By reciting page by page, you are not going to achieve it by reciting the Suratul Ikhlas just 3 times. You will get the reward. We have no doubt about that. One is the reward, one is the outcome, the spirit of the action, and what it leads to. So the summary of the talk is, we discussed about the miracles of the prophets, how unique the Quran is. So we mentioned about how easy it is to memorize the Quran. That is a miracle itself. It proves that Quran is a miracle from Allah. Number 2 is Quran can be recited in various tones, various different voices, but all have gives us a feeling where we reach tranquility and calmness. Then we moved on to certain facts about the Quran which we might have forgotten. Number 1, I mentioned about whosoever sincerely anticipates guidance and opens the Quran will surely guide him. There is no doubt about that. Number 2, Quran is a guidance to all mankind at all times. So it is like a manual given to us on how to live. The Creator has given it to us. By following its teachings, the entire world is going to become a pleasant place to live. Then we went into the discussion about the merits regarding the Quran. And we discussed about individually, we asked how many juzus you have finished last Ramadan. And mashallah, we got so many. And there was a brother who had recited more than 2 Qurans during the Ramadan. And there's this brother Hamdan who has mentioned, I recite the Quran every Fajr and Maghrib, 1 hour's time, mashallah. So we discussed about that. And we discussed about the Quran intercedes for you on the day of Qiyamah because you are closely connected to it. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala status increases your status because you're connected to the Quran. Finally, quick investments, small investment but big outcome, big income. We discussed about Surah Al-Ikhlas 10 times. You get a palace in Jannah. Surah Al-Fatiha serves as a cure to sicknesses. And Surah Al-Ikhlas is equivalent to 1/3 of the Quran. And there are numerous hadiths mentioning about the virtues of these different surahs of the Quran, which you can go and study. That let us start off somewhere and become people who are connected to the Quran. Now I'll open it for questions. If you have any questions regarding the topic we have discussed for today, you're free to ask, inshallah. If I'm able to answer it, I will answer it in this forum itself. If I don't know the answer to your question, I will tell you that I don't know. And you can privately message me and get the answers to it. Yes, brothers and sisters, now it's your turn. I think I've taken 35 minutes. Yes, 35 minutes almost. 5 minutes extra. But anyways, if you have any questions, you're free to ask regarding the topic. Even other questions are welcome. Any other questions which are not related to the topic are also welcome. Youngsters will have questions. I think after I did this talk, I'm feeling better. Alhamdulillah. Maybe because of your du'as. And I'm feeling better. Alhamdulillah. Yes. Generally, people have this. Sometimes people have asked me questions regarding the Quran. I will mention the question and give you the answer. But you all are free to write your questions now. It's open. People ask us, is it permissible to read the Quran using our phone or iPad or whatever? The answer is yes, it is permissible. Then the next question is it allowed for us? Do we need to have wudu? Do we need to be in a state of wudu while we recite the Quran from these devices? No, you need not be in the state of wudu. You can touch the screen. You can swipe. That's all right. But one thing you must bear in mind is, this is what I personally recommend to people. It's not a rule that it has to be followed, but this is what I prefer. I generally recommend people to use the mobile device in a situation where they are unable to take wudu or they are traveling, and it's a situation where they have no other ways, but the only access is through the device. Go ahead and use it. It's a very good thing you're doing. But you're at home, you're in the comfort of your home, in the couch, you have everything, it's your house. These times, I would recommend, go take wudu, take the copy of the Quran and start reading it. This is what I would generally recommend. You're at home, you're at, nothing, you're in a state that you can go and take wudu, you're not sick, you're not having any fever or something like that, where if you touch water, you will fall even more sick. Nothing like that. Go ahead, take the Quran, the Mus'haf, the copy, recite. The reason is, one of the reasons I would like to mention is, if you are using the phone, even when you're traveling or wherever, if you're using the phone as a Quran, to read your Quran, I would recommend you to keep your phone in airplane mode. It's not a must. It's not a must. I'm just recommending things. Because while you recite the Quran, you get a notification saying you have received a message in WhatsApp. And generally, as human beings, we want to see what's the message. Sometimes you might get a notification from your Facebook. Hi, brother, how are you? Hi, sister, how are you? Long time no see. So you minimize the Quran app and you go and chat with that person. Maybe you have sent a message to someone and you're expecting a response from them. You're reciting the Quran and now that person responds to your message. You make sure you immediately read the message. So you disconnect yourself from the Quran all of a sudden just to read a message or watch a video or whatever. Scholars write, reading the Quran is like reading the letter of your beloved. Reading the Quran is like reading the letter of your beloved. If you love someone and your loved one has sent you a letter, how would you attentively focus and read it? You have to show the same focus or more than that to the Quran, because the Creator has sent us this message. So keep this in mind. You can use your device, you can use it without wudu, but you try your best to use the Mus'haf the copy wherever possible, whenever possible. I love to memorize the Quran, but I feel a bit hard to memorize it. Is there any ways to overcome this? An easier way to learn this? It depends on the age. Depending on the age, the prescription will change. Firstly, I would recommend this, brother, you go to, if you can repeat it with a qari. I'm referring to not the general recitation of the Quran, right? Like the qiraat you find in, generally in YouTube or whatever. There are certain recitations where the qari would pause after reciting each verse. So he would say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and he stops. And you have the time to repeat after him, right? So when you practice this, okay, when you practice this, over time, inshallah, you will get used to the tajweed of the Quran. While you do this, contact the imam in the masjid or a scholar you know who can help you out. And inshallah, that is going to be very, very helpful. Another tip I would say is listen to selected surahs of the Quran as a starting point. There are selected surahs like Suratul Kahf, Suratul Mulk, Suratul Rahman. Start listening to that surah from reciters whose tajweed is good. So you can go to an alim and ask him, whom would you recommend for me to memorize, listen, at the same time master my tajweed? There are few qaris who will come into that category. You can take that, inshallah. You can listen to that. What happens over time is you will get used to the tajweed and the words of that particular surah. But one thing I would like to tell you is don't try to repeat or recite with the qari. Don't try to recite and repeat with the qari. That will disturb the entire process. That is going to disturb the entire process. I'm saying just one way listening, your brain would inshallah record it and you'll be able to play it on your own voice. Don't worry about which tone to use when you memorize the Quran, because your tone is unique from the qari's tone you are reciting. Let the qari recite the way he recites, but you recite the way you recite. Quran is beautiful. It's melodious with any voice, right? So these are three things I would like to tell you. The brother who wants to memorize the Quran, he has sent it privately. What if the airplane mode disconnects the Quran too? Then make sure the messages don't divert you. You can keep your airplane mode, don't on the airplane mode. Leave it as it is, but make sure if you get a notification that doesn't distract you. A friend of mine memorized the Quran by 10 years. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yeah, then again, I would like to mention another point here. There are so many young children who memorize the Quran. There's a lot of support from home. The parents there and the ustads they have got, these people really support them a lot and they are able to reach it. Okay. Right, a point to mention about listening to the Quran, which crossed my mind a little while back. No, I recommend you to listen to the Quran, which is a good thing. I think all of you would support me on that. You all will agree on that. But what I would like to say is, this is my personal opinion. You can agree or disagree, that's all right. Sometimes the nasheeds, which are available online, whether it is with music or without music. With music, all of you know the ruling. I don't want to go into that. Whether it is halal nasheed or not. When a person gets used to the nasheed, there is a chance that the person might lose the sweetness of the Quran when he listens to it. Especially today, I listen to nasheed. I'm a person who listens to nasheed. But in the recent past, I'm very, very selective about the nasheed I listen to. Because today, certain nasheeds, they come with vocals only and the beat and all these things. I don't know whether that's a word to use. But there is a particular, dopamine that, the excitement when you listen to the nasheed. And you start to move and you start to do all sorts of things without your knowledge. what happens over time is when the Quran is played, when the Qari is reciting with an emotional tone, that doesn't appeal to our minds because our minds have got used to a particular tone in nasheed. I have met people personally. I would tell my experience. I have come across people who don't like to listen to the nasheed I listen to because they say that this nasheed makes us fall asleep. But the nasheed which makes you awake, keep you awake, is also talking about Allah. But when you listen to it for a long time and when you play the Quran right next to it, automatically your heart is going towards the nasheed and you can't recite the Quran in the tone, the way the nasheed is sung. So this is a challenge some people might face. So this is my personal opinion. Can agree or disagree with it, but I have personally experienced it. I have met people who have experienced it. That's what I'm recommending this to you. How do we destroy the paper? Destroy paper with Quranic verses and names of Allah. You can burn it and you can bury it, inshallah. You can burn. Same thing would apply to the Quran as well. If you have Qurans which are torn and you need to discard it, you can burn it and bury the ashes. Usman radiallahu anhu did it during his Khilafah. Is it okay if I turn the notifications off? Yes, of course. If you are feeling it, that will be a good option. Go ahead and do it. Right? Since I'm schooling in a convent, can I present the Quran to my Catholic friends? Yes, you can give them the translation of the copy. You can ask them to go online and download the app in their phones. Mainly when you give one of the challenges we have is when you give a translation of the Quran is a non-believer doesn't know where to start. A non-believer doesn't know where to start. So sometimes the Quran the entire translation might be very heavy according to their age. But what you can do is you can talk to them about certain verses of the Quran which teach us about how to live, which would open the doors, which would make them interested to open the Quran in the first place. One is you give the copy to a person without them asking for it. The other is you make them feel that they want to read it, and then you give it to them. It's like this. Somebody said, all of us quote the example, you can bring the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. So this is an example which is used by many people. So I met a young, I don't know who was this, either it's my teacher or someone. He said this example, generally teachers use it for their students. Even I have used it to my students. Okay. But then somebody said, if you have added salt to the hay, okay, if you had added salt to the hay, the horse automatically becomes thirstier, and when you bring it to the water, it starts drinking. I think you can understand what I'm trying to say, where I'm trying to get. Your Catholic friend, one is you give the copy, that is you bring them to the water and you tell them to drink. That is one option. The other is you put some salt in the hay and you bring, it's like you're bringing the horse while it's thirsty to the water. So you talk about the Quran to them. You talk about certain verses of the Quran which talks about kindness, and there are so many things you can convey to them. That will automatically make them say, okay, it seems to be an interesting book. Can you give me a copy of that? And then when you give it, the impact is different. I hope that will be more practical, and inshallah, you can achieve your goal why you need to give a Quran to your friend. Anything else? Okay. With Allah's plan, we have gone beyond our, I messaged Brother Shoaib too. I'm going to finish sessions by 4 because I was not feeling that fit. But Alhamdulillah, it has gone beyond, and I can see questions coming in. Very happy about that. Very happy about that. Okay, any other questions? Right. And if you have anyone deceased, if anybody passed away, your grandparents, or anyone for that matter, your friends, if somebody has passed away and they have reached the hereafter, you can,
can convey the rewards. You can recite a particular surah and ask Allah to convey the rewards to that particular deceased person. There is a discussion amongst the imams whether a person who has passed away would receive the rewards or not. But there is a good number of imams who support the opinion that the deceased do receive the rewards of the recitation of the Quran. So that is the opinion I believe and I follow. I would recommend you to do that. But if you want to read the opinion of the other group of scholars, yeah, you're welcome to read, and you can decide what you can do about it. I'm not talking about having a function for it, or 3 days or 7 days or 40 days. I'm telling you about, you're sitting in your room and you feel like your grandfather has passed away and you want to send some rewards to him. You can recite any surah of the Quran and tell Allah, Ya Allah, I have recited this Quran. Please convey the rewards of this surah to my grandfather who has passed away. Insha'Allah, your rewards will reach there. Can we write Quranic verses in calligraphy? Yes. Yes, you can. As long as it is not misused, you can. Just given its due respect, it's allowed, inshallah. You can see even the Kaaba door, the door of the Kaaba too, or the curtain, the kiswa of the Kaaba has Quranic verses written in it as calligraphy. If you go to Haram, or even if you watch a video, you can, maybe it's a bit difficult to read, but those are the verses of the Quran. Hamdan Shamil says his grandfather had passed away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him the highest statuses in Jannah. And all of us, whoever has, friends, relatives who have passed on to the next world, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them highest levels in Jannah. Ameen. Yes, Brother Shoaib, I think we are done with the questions.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I don't know how you did it, but I think, like you mentioned, by the will of Allah, as you know how anything will happen. Despite you not really feeling too well, firstly deciding to come, and then of course I think outdoing the session completely. But I think all of us can agree it was really beneficial. I myself learned so much from what you shared with us, as well as the questions that our beloved brothers and sisters asked as well. And for me, two of the takeaways from what you mentioned, number one was, before you go to the creation, go to the creator, right? And I think a lot of us miss the bus on that one. As soon as we get sick, the first thing is, oh, I need to go to a doctor. And like we know, right, we should do that most definitely, but are we forgetting who at the end of the day solves the problem, right? So that was a big one for me, a big takeaway, a big one, a home run. And also the one about small investments, great returns, right? Especially in today's day and age, we're all looking how we can do less and get more, right? But it's already there for us. Allah has made it so easy for us. I think it's part of Allah's mercy. And for me personally, those are 2 points that really resonated, but I'm sure the brothers and sisters here would have taken down a lot more points as well. So Sheikh, thank you so much for investing your time in this, for overcoming the state that you were in, or the conditions you were going through. And like we asked before, we ask Allah to make it easy for you, to grant you a speedy recovery, inshallah, and keep you healthy, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairah, Brother Shoaib.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh. And with that, we will release you. And we will let you rest now, and I hope that you rested, inshallah. Right, my respected brothers and sisters, with that, Sheikh Ruzaik will be taking his leave from this session. We thank him profoundly, and we thank Allah for facilitating this opportunity. Now, before we go, I want to remind all of us to keep sending in those notes on what you all have been learning, right? And because, like I always mention, that helps us gauge where we stand, and if you guys are understanding what's coming your way, right? And I also want all of you to, I know we always make dua, but Sheikh was not well, so I think we should all take the time, maybe after Asr if we haven't prayed yet, or if not, after Maghrib, maybe we can ask some dua for Sheikh, inshallah, because, not to Sheikh, but everybody else comes here on a voluntary basis. They have no, they may see it as an obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's probably the only reason they come here. They're not obliged to come on this platform. They're all very busy people. They've got families, they've got careers, they have so much going on, but they take time. And even when they're not well, because they made a promise, because they made a commitment, and it was to do with the service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they come, right? They somehow make it happen. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them for that. So I want all of us to make it a point to ask to on behalf of Sheikh. And then a lot of you mentioned about your grandparents passing away, maybe friends, maybe family, and then also about people not being well, right? And maybe we can include all of them in our duas as well today, right? This is a community here. We've been together for a long time now. We're all brothers and sisters. We've gotten to know each other. We spent a lot of time. We've learned together. And there's so much of barakah and so much of blessing in this gathering. So it's on Zoom, right? Allah knows our intention. So maybe let's all make it a point to include all of these people in our duas when we go for Asr now or Maghrib next, or whenever it is best suited for you. And of course, the main takeaway for you guys about the virtues of the Quran, we learned so much. We were reminded of even more, I think. And the important thing is, as people on this platform, we always emphasize that the doing and the implementation is very important, right? So let's not just take notes and send emails and have plans, which are all important, but we must also execute, right? So with that, I hope that all of you all actually take to heart what Sheikh brought to you. And let's not forget, he made such an effort. The least we can do is to actually write those points down, which I'm sure you guys have already done because you'll have your notebooks and pens, and then of course implement it. And before we go, just one small message for all of you, that next week, inshallah, we will not be having the Zoom into your DEEN session, right? Simply because your host is myself. I will be, inshallah, having my walima. So therefore, I will not be able to host the session. And I would make a humble and sincere request to all of you guys. I love you guys. I love spending time with you guys, and I'm always motivated and inspired by you guys as well. It would mean a lot to me if y'all could all remember me, as well as my wife, my family, in your duas, and ask dua for us to have, inshallah, a blessed walima and a blessed life ahead together, inshallah. Right? So with that, I will end, my brothers and sisters. This is a small request from you all. And I look forward to seeing you guys not next week, but the week after. Okay, so not next week, but the week after. Okay, right. Thank you very much, as always, for coming here. Thank you for teaching us so much. And of course, we all benefit from it because of the blessings, the barakah, and as well as the knowledge that we gain, inshallah. With that, we end this session of Zoom into your DEEN. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.